All right, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. We're back again today, and today we've got a very, very special guest, someone who is actually very new to school as well, and I really want to thank them. You know, it's really intimidating to come and sit in front of me and to talk about themselves. Although it's very easy to speak about yourself, but on a camera, it's not that easy. So I always want to thank all my participants there. They come out and they are, they speak about themselves. And I do think this is such a great opportunity, that we live in such a busy environment, although we see each other on a daily basis, but it's still really hard to know who we are and what we do. So I really think this is such a great initiative, and it would not be possible without you guys. So without further ado, I actually want to thank my guest and also give her a warm welcome to the show, and want to introduce Miss Khan, Miss Aysha Khan, and she's actually a form teacher for year 6. We do have a great photo in the background. It's not hard to pick who she is. So I'll pass it on to her, and I will, I welcome you. Tell us about yourself before you go in the photo.
Thank you so much. So I am a 6th-year teacher in teaching year 6 as well. 2nd year teaching year 6, been an interesting ride, but there's so much more that comes into me, I guess, as well. Family first and foremost, as you can see in the photo as well over there. So many stories to share as well about the families, about the traveling trips that we've had, and about all my hobbies as well. A lot of things that come into play that make me me.
Well, tell us about yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
you've come to the school. Tell us, where were you before this, and what did you do, and
Yeah.
what was that turning point to, that turning point that told you to actually destroy your career? I'm only kidding there. To become a teacher.
To like destroy my life pretty much, the decision that I made started long ago. And it's only just, the bombs just pretty much exploded now. Reality hits sooner or later, hey.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, I actually always wanted to be a teacher. I don't know. I think it's actually funny though. It's the decision started when I was about in year 3 or year 4, and we were in the school library, and I picked up the book of the Babysitter Club, and I just got so hooked into the series over there, and I was like, wow, you know what? I think whatever I want to do, I want to work with kids. So just from there, I started festering that idea of what it's like to be working with kids. I always had such a great relationship. I guess working with children as well, and just hanging out with children, solving friends, all those countless friends issues that you have on the playground as a primary and high school student. And so I just thought, you know what, I actually like this. I love being around kids. I love helping people. I love working with little problem solving, teaching people different things. And so I just started growing from there. And then in high school, any opportunity that I got to actually support other people, support the other students, they had a program running in my high school where during roll call time, would work with our support students in the ESL department and would teach them how to read. So I started that course in high school as well, and I just thought, I love this. This is where I want to be. And then when I started my first job, actually, straight out of masters, the first year of teaching, I was in a public school, and I loved teaching. However, that classroom was quite an interesting dynamic. Lots of very different behaviors and very different experiences that the children had. And when I walked out of that first year, I just went, I don't think teaching's for me. I don't think I could do this. Like, this is completely different. I think there's so many days where I walked out of the classroom crying because of different I try to make it. My principal quite eloquently described it as death by fire, or baptism by fire. That's what she said. The classroom dynamic that I had, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't think I could do this for the rest of my life. And then it was actually my cousin who encouraged me to apply for AIA in the Strathfield campus, and she goes, just apply. The teachers there said it's an amazing school. The staff is so lovely. So she goes, like you've been building up this passion for so long. Why don't you just give it another go? And then she encouraged me to apply to Strathfield. And I was like, you know what? I'm only doing this for you. because you've like talked me so much into it that I have to do it now. I have to go and do the interview, and I'll work at the school when I got the job. And I'm like, I'll only do it for a year. And then after a year, I'm leaving. I'm not going to stay here. I can't do this. And then pretty much 5 years later, I'm still at AIA.
That's amazing, you know, and it's so true. I mean, teaching, I think teaching for everyone, you guys like really ambitious. It was actually a career that you decided. For me, it was
Yeah.
coincidental. So,
Yeah. There
so
you go. He just kind of fell into the role.
that's right. That's correct. Well, tell us about your photo.
So the photo pretty much describes my childhood. I mean, I've got two brothers over there as well. The younger one who you see kind of hiding in the corner is now very much the tallest one in the family. So it doesn't quite represent that. But my dad's actually from Fiji, and the village side of Fiji is in a little town called Rekereki. And he's been raised by the water, and that pretty much came into us and into our upbringing as well. So every weekend we were out traveling, and every few months or so, like school holidays, sometimes the winter holidays and the summer holidays as well, we'd always go travel down to the south coast to a little place called Aladala, and that became our family trips. Every school holidays would be going down to Aladala and to the same beach resort as well. There was a thing that was called Blue Haven Beach Resort. The little huts and stuff that they had, and just going that those trips were so special to us that even now it's just part of our identity. Like for my brothers and I, growing up, we still talk about those trips to Aladala, the drives down to Aladala as well. Like, you know, where we'd be, the three of us would be sitting in the back seat. I mean, we kept going to that same resort from since we were babies to, I think I was well into high school. And my little brother's spot was always in the center of the car, you know, because he was the smallest. And obviously, as we got older and he became the tallest in the family, and me being the shortest in the family, he was still squished in the middle. So he'd have his knees right up to his chin, and then myself on the side, you know, with all the space in the world and all the leg space that I didn't really need. And then we had these little silver cups that my mom had from India, because my mom's actually from India as well. So my mom had these little silver cups with the patterns, you know, the Indian patterns that they had. And she would hand them to the back seat as our snacks with those little, you know, those corns that you get from the Arab shops, the hard
Yeah,
corn.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that used to be our snacks. And even when we were in high school, every road trip that we did, whether we're going to the Coffs Coast or we're going up to Queensland, we had to have that silver cup with the hard corn as our car snacks. Every road trip.
That's amazing. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, you know, these stories always stick with you, and
Yes.
it becomes memories, and you always
Yes.
go back and you cherish them.
To those places. So those beach trips used to be I mean, that was midwinter, as you can see, like we were rugged up, got all the jumpers and skivvies on in the world. The socks are going up to the knees, but we're still out there at the beach by the water. And we would beg my dad to swim, you know, and he would just be like, yeah, because my dad's the type where anytime we go anywhere, any road trip, if we see any body of water on the side, whether it's a lake, a river, or the ocean, we have to jump in. Even if we don't have change of clothes, we're jumping into the water. We'll dry ourselves off before we sit in the car, but there's water there, we're jumping in.
Okay, well, look, that's very good. So, do you still go down to this beach
To
anymore?
Aladala,
Yeah.
we haven't been in a while because after Aladala, we started going to Coffs Harbour quite often. And then Coffs Harbour became sorry. So my older brother over there, he's got two kids. A little boy, he's in kindergarten, and a little girl, he's just 2.5. And they're at the door just yelling because they just need some sort of play toy and whatnot.
That's right. They always
Yeah.
go back to that. Okay, tell us about another photo, because you've actually shared with us
I've
another
got
photo.
two,
Tell us
yeah.
about this photo.
I've got two. So this one I shared actually because of the outfit that I'm wearing and the Barbie umbrella that I have as well. Barbie was like biggest craze. But the outfit was also really special because my mum made it. And a lot of the clothes that I wore when I was a child were sewn by my mum, down to a matching hat and a matching bag. I don't have the matching bag in this particular photo, but it just pretty much built my identity, I guess, in just the outfits that I wore, the style that I developed as well. And my mum loves to sew. She sews all the time. So as a baby, she'd always sew all my outfits, and I had this fascination with wearing hats all the time. So every one of my outfits had to have a hat. So my mum would sew a matching hat with the outfits. Yeah, so then even now, sometimes a lot of the outfits that I wear to school, skirts or dresses, my mum sews. But this time I just tell her, hey, I'd like this design, or I'd like this style. And she's like, all right, no worries. And I'll get the material and she'll just put it together.
That's very,
So,
very
yeah.
good. Like, our parents, they did so much, even though
Yeah.
they may not be highly educated,
Yeah.
but the skills they had, even people
Yes.
in today's day and age, with
Yeah.
all that education that we've got, would
Yeah.
not be able to do that.
No, definitely no. I just think about the all those different styles and so many photos I have, the outfits that my mom sewed. And just that's also having like three kids on the side, and she's like, nope, it's gonna be every clothes that you wear is gonna be sewn by me. It's gonna be designed by me.
Well,
So,
tell
yeah.
us, moving on,
Yeah.
tell us something that you always wanted to learn. As a
Uh,
teacher, we're learning, but
Constantly. Yeah, I feel like that for me always changes, like depending on the situation that I'm in. At first, it was just crafting, I just wanted to know how to stitch. So I realized the sewing machine just wasn't for me, so I just thought, okay, I'd always wanted to learn how to stitch. And then just building on from that, I think my current thing that I really want to learn is coding. I find it so fascinating. It's a whole new language because I've always loved learning languages. Not that I've been very good at it, but it's just been very entertaining. So coding is a new thing that I'm just really into. I think a lot of last year I had some students show me a few things that I had year six last year as well, and they were very tech savvy. And just in the middle of teaching, they'll be like, Miss, I just want to show you something. And then they'll go and rearrange their dojo points, and they've given themselves like, 10 extra, 20 extra points. They're like, look, I can earn a new reward. So I asked them, like, how did you do that? And they just showed me a simple thing on the side, how they just changed the digits around, or they would flip the screens around. And I just thought it was so fascinating. That's something that I really want to, a skill that I really want to gain, and something I can pass forward as well with the kids.
well, that's good for the school as well. You could probably
Yeah.
teach IT in the coming years.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows with that good? I feel like my interests are constantly like wavering, and right now it's something that I can definitely work on. So that's the current craze, current
Well,
passion.
always there's always things that yes, coding is one of them, but there's
Yeah.
always things that we kind of we say we missed out. I wish I did that. I wish I learned that.
Yes.
Is that something of those hobbies that you wanted to learn, or something that you wanted to do as well?
Yeah. From there, when I was in high school, I took woodworks I think in year seven and eight, they make you do woodworks. And I took woodworks, and I think I created a pencil holder or something. And just that whole process of carving the wood and creating the different shapes and making different things I think it's always stayed at the back of my mind. Something that I've been really fascinated with, because I love crafting. I love making things. I've got like my little crafting machine and a whole setup over here as well on the side. And that's now I see a lot of people online doing their redo renovations, or they get vintage furniture and they make it into something completely different. And then even just coming into a new house, I just thought that's something that I can actually use in my designing process, in my like building, my crafting process, many different things over there. But yeah, woodworks and clay pottery. Pottery is something that I've just thought of. All of that stuff that I can actually do, then use for my interior designing, I guess, the house, setting up the house, or like setting up the whole room.
Well, pottery, well, that sounds very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Even by the thought of pottery, I'm already feeling lazy.
You're just like, no, this is not something I can do. Just the molding and the shaping I've tried. I got a very clumped flower pot. My mom was very proud of it. My mom used to make sculptures and things, so she saw my little clump pot and she was like, "Hey, that's a great start." And I just thought, okay, eventually I'll get to something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that whole side of it just really fascinates me. Anything to do with crafting, just piques my interest.
Well, that's really great. Well, now I must ask you, what's something that you know really well as a teacher?
Yeah,
I think we know a lot of things well, and one of the
yeah.
things that we need to know well is classroom management. So that's very important.
Oh,
But there are other things in life other than
yeah.
classroom management. So,
No.
what's something that you'd say you know well?
On the classroom management part, because you just mentioned it, it's like, you think you know it, and it's like, hey, I've absolutely killed it with this class. And then you get a whole new bunch, and then it just completely changes and you're back to square one. So at least it's a good reminder to go back and say, hey, at least this part of it I've got down pat. Um, that's actually interesting. I thought about that question quite a lot, and I feel like I vary in certain areas where I love writing. I love creative writing. I love English. And so even just randomly, I'll be sitting in the corner just writing a short story for my own interest. Haven't let anyone read my work just yet, even though last year I had a teacher who tried so hard. He sent his stories and was like, hey, we can have a creative writing competition. But I haven't been able to share my stories with anyone just yet. But I feel like with the creative writing aspect, that's one of my strengths, and even just the general designing aspect. I feel like, I know this is where my crafting hobby comes in. I can really imagine how I want to put together a style, or how I want to put together a design. And so I apply that in any aspect I can. It as a teacher, it comes into my classroom. So I'm constantly thinking of new ways I can make my classroom look wow, or make my classroom look like a place where it's comfortable, it's inviting, but also refreshing. And then in a personal level, it's always looking at my room, my house, my design. Because I've just moved into this place, it's still pretty empty. But at my previous place, I had a whole Art Deco wall going on at the back. And then I had my books because I'm an avid reader. And I can see, I don't know how much of a competition it is with your books over there. But yeah, so it's just, I think crafting and just decorating in that sense, it just becomes my biggest passion. That's the part where I feel like I don't have to think about, it just comes to me. It just flows.
Well, reading something that I always loved
Yeah.
from right from the word go, and I think I'm in competition with the library. I've got three
Yeah.
thousand books, so
Wow. That's what I aspire to have. That's what I aspire. I've managed to collect like a meager 200 books. I've got 200. Half of it's still sitting in the garage right now, but
well, that's the
it'll,
story of my life as well. I got so many boxes there. Inshallah, when we move to a bigger place, I mean,
yeah,
at the moment I've got that wall covered, and I've got this entire wall covered as
I
well.
love that.
So that's
That's
how much
amazing.
I have. But I don't have any other place to put
No.
anything else.
My goal is that when I get my own place, inshallah, one day, the first thing I want to have is a library, just an actual wall to wall, all four areas, all four corners, just filled with books. That would be my ultimate goal.
No, the
And
books are something that I spent so much as well. So,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
kind of like there's so much out there to read. There's so many
yes,
genres. Like,
yes,
I know Islam is something that I do for living, but then
yeah,
there are other things I like as well. So
yeah.
yes, it's so
What's
good.
your favorite genre?
So I actually like more philosophical stuff now,
Oh,
because
nice.
that
Yeah,
varies as well. So at the
yeah.
moment, I have a book, How the World Thinks. So
Oh,
that's what
nice.
I'm reading. It's about
Yeah.
philosophy of things.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. I get into those philosophical books, but I haven't found one that I just really genuinely like connected with over there. So I think I kept myself more in my imaginative world, in the world of fiction. It's my escape route. That's what it is.
No, and I graduated in that
Yeah.
kind of stuff because that was
Yeah.
philosophy. My majors was aqidah, and
Oh,
aqidah is philosophy, a
that's
sort
it.
of
Yeah.
philosophy. Why? Because you're learning about Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, who Allah
Yes,
is. So that was my
definitely.
majors. So yeah, going back to those answers, where God is, how
Yeah.
He is, How do you
Yeah.
define him?
It's fascinating.
And so
It's so
yeah, that's where
fascinating.
I really stayed
Yeah.
focused most of my life.
Yeah. But it helps you see the world completely differently as well, even just your day-to-day life. You start to see things in a completely different light and start to appreciate certain things. And
It does, it does.
you put aside other things where people would make it a bigger deal, and then the other smaller parts you start to appreciate a little bit more. So it's amazing. You can't go wrong.
No, that's right. Is there something else you want to add to the list that you know really well?
Something else that I know really well. I feel I feel like I dabble in so many different areas that there's not other than like crafting becomes like my main thing, that part that just it's consistent. But everything else, like I mean, I did a little bit of sports, quite a lot of sports as well on the side. Don't play anything, don't play anything anymore, but I feel like that's my main area. Everything else I'm still learning, I'm still building the skill on. I can make lasagna. I feel like that's what I do really well.
Well, so the food's very good. Yeah, look, a lot
Lasagna.
of people are actually very good at cooking. So I will be actually
Yeah.
going through the interviews on a later date, and
Yeah,
I will come back to you guys and hold you accountable
for the food. Maybe I shouldn't have. I should have
for.
said I make water really well.
Well, that's why I downplayed my capabilities, and I've
Yeah,
said I do boiling eggs. So
yeah.
I think it's not a hard job.
It's
So
not a hard job, but you don't realize that even boiling an egg is an art. So, we can say, yeah, I can boil an egg, but hey, that's pretty good. You can actually boil an egg.
that's
Um,
right.
I thought I could boil an egg as well. And then a few years ago, because I mean, I cook little things here and there on the side. But because living with my parents, I mean, obviously you get the ease of mum cooking all the time. So I
That's right.
kind of take backstage over there. And I thought, okay, let me boil an egg. And I boiled an egg and it split. And so I was like, all right, okay, that might have just been one bad egg. So I boiled another egg and it didn't cook through fully. And I thought to myself, wow, I thought boiling an egg was quite simple, but apparently not.
It is the
So
timing, the timing.
it's
It's
the
all about the
timing.
timing.
I got it eventually, so I can boil an egg now.
And I'm actually very good with all kinds of eggs. So the
Oh,
yolk, what color of yolk do you not need? So it's,
that's
as I said, it's all about the timing.
it's all about the timing. You have to know the right temperature, the right timing, and that's it. You've got it all sorted.
That's right. Okay, well, tell us about
Yeah.
yourself. What's something surprising about you?
So,
I look, you've been surprising me throughout the interview, but
oh,
definitely there are surprising facts.
yeah.
So tell us about yourself. More surprising facts.
More surprising facts. I don't know what I feel like I'm a pretty open book, Everyone kind of like sees me as who I am, but something surprising, I genuinely cannot think of anything else that's quite surprising.
Something that people actually don't know at school, and now when they hear that, oh, okay, we actually never knew this.
Yeah, I don't know because I feel like again I'm quite open. I think I talk a lot, so I talk a lot about who I am at school. I mean, I'm talking about my crazy experiences in teaching. How I came into that teaching aspect, and I think with my travels becomes a main topic as well. But I don't know anything else surprising about me. I can't think of anything where not many people would know about.
Maybe you've run a marathon, or maybe maybe you
You know,
because you
again, I've played OzTag. I've played OzTag, I've played basketball, but there were more of like things on the side. I can't think of anything no, I genuinely can't think of anything else surprising about myself, which is
you
quite
did
sad.
say that you were a great swimmer. So did you compete at a
Oh,
state level?
actually, yeah, now that you've mentioned swimming, that's just brought something back over there. I used to be terrified of the water, considering how many times we used to go to the beach as a child. Half the times it was forceful, because I used to be so scared of the water. When I was 2 years old, actually, when we were at the park and my dad was sitting under a tree with my baby brother. He wasn't crawling then either. And my older brother was about 5 years old. And we just wandered off looking for flowers. And we went by a lake. And as we were picking the flowers, I actually slipped and fell into the water. And so my brother managed to grab me by the legs. I'm 2 years old, head's in this body of water, and he's not strong enough to actually pull me out. So he's holding me by the legs, and he's screaming for my dad. And eventually, when my dad realized that something's up, he came running, and he actually saved me then. And then since then, I think I just became terrified of water, any water, like no bath. I wouldn't have baths. Every time we went to the beach, I'd refuse to go by the water. And so my dad, being Fijian, raised by the water, he used to force me to swim, like quite literally throw me in the water, even if I was screaming, because I was, no, you're going to learn how to swim if it's the end of me. And so from there, I got back into, like swimming. I was like, okay, the water's not so scary anymore. I remember at the start, before that, whenever we used to go by the beach and I'd see my brothers going into the water, I used to scream, like cry, and save them, just like, save them, get them out. But eventually I got into the swimming, loved the beach. And then when I was about 10, I think it was, we were at Aladala, this the same place we used to go for our visits. And my brothers were great swimmers. My younger brother was a really strong swimmer. And so they used to make fun of me because I'd always stay in the shallow end in the pool, or just stay by the shore at the beach. And so when we went to the pools, I was stuck in the shallow end, and my brothers were out in the deep end, like having their fun. And they started making fun of me and said, "Oh no, you can't swim." And I just thought, nah, that's it. Like, I'm going to take on the challenge. I'm going to prove to them they can't make fun of me. I can swim. And so I went off into the deep end, and they're still playing. And obviously, not being able to swim, I actually started drowning for the second time in my life. And my dad came looking at my mom, because my mom was just walking around the gate trying to find the entrance into the pools. And my dad got his attention at my mom, who's walking in. And my mom looked over and seen that. When he's in my hands, like, where's Aysha? I can't see her. And my brothers are right next to me, and I'm trying to grab them, trying to like get their attention, but they're back to me, and I just went on the water. And that's when my dad realized what my mom was trying to do, because he thought my mom was pointing for the gates. And when he realized that I was actually drowning, I was in the water, he jumped in and pulled me out. So that was the second time I got saved from drowning. So you can say it's like, well, I'm on my third life right now. And so from then on, I realized I knew my abilities. I was like, okay, I can kind of paddle. I can stay in the shore. I love the water. Still go in, but I refuse to go into the deep. I refuse to take on any other challenges where my abilities are really showcased.
But that was so surprising because you spoke about how you grew up with the water, and I was thinking
Yeah.
probably you could just probably swim
No.
back to Fiji if you liked. So,
No.
but now
I
you've
actually
told me.
cannot swim very well. I can stay afloat. I can paddle by the shores or in the shallow end, but if my feet can't touch the water, that's it. Like, I'm gone. If my feet can't touch the ground, sorry, not the water. If I'm already in the water then. But yeah, no, I can't survive in the deep at all.
No, look, it was a pleasure to speak to you
No,
today, and it
likewise.
was so much good to know. Now, as you know, we are teachers. We'd all
Yeah,
like to give advices, and maybe you should like to. Maybe we want to actually listen from you. You want to give us an advice to the
and
grown-ups who'll be listening
yeah.
later on. Give us an advice.
I think from my life experiences, my biggest advice would be to welcome change. Not be afraid of any changes that do happen in life, or to, when change does arise, to tackle it with the positivity and with new growth. So that's the biggest advice I have, I guess, and biggest learning experience that I've had in this year alone as well. So I think that's the one advice that I could really give. That's something that I found was really important for myself to understand. Took a while for me to understand it, but if there's one thing that I would say is to accept change and to welcome change.
And I think you make such a you actually put forward such a great advice, and especially Islamically as well.
Yeah.
Change will happen, and
Yes.
don't resist change.
Don't resist
Yeah,
change.
you
Yes.
have to just go with that change, and
That's the
things will be
thing.
better.
and not to be afraid of taking that step towards, out of your comfort zone, and towards that change as well. So quite often we get kind of stuck in our comfort zone and say, well, we're fine, I'm good, I'm okay. And then when something happens, or when one aspect of that comfort zone changes, it becomes a more difficult thing to comprehend or to move past. So I think accepting change is one of the biggest things. If you can accept change, then everything else falls in place as well.
That's right, because you start going with the flow of that change,
Yes,
because you're not
yes.
really resisting
You're
and
not
holding back.
resisting.
Yeah,
Resisting takes effort.
that's right. You're
Resisting
not
and holding
holding back.
back takes effort. But
That's
if you
correct.
don't resist and you just go with the flow, you see everything move a lot more smoothly. So
And
yeah,
that's what life is. Everything is about change. It's the change,
that's it.
constant change.
That it's constant.
Even we,
If there's one thing in life that's constant, and that's change.
oh, our lives changed. I mean, half an
Yeah.
hour ago, we were half an hour younger. So the
Yes.
life just changed.
Yes, there you
So,
go. I
so
can't do what I could have done half an hour ago. I
that's
have
right.
to do something different now.
That's correct. Look,
Yeah.
it's so profound. I mean,
No.
as they always say, teachers are so intelligent, and they do have that profound language. Actually,
Yeah.
whenever I speak to you teachers,
Yeah.
natural teachers, I mean,
Yes.
not like me, the coincidental teacher.
I
So,
don't think anyone's a coincidental teacher.
so,
Everyone is a teacher at some point. It's just, now it's highlighted. That's what it is.
so no, I learned so much from these things.
Yeah.
Even though I might say, I'm a preacher, I'm an imam, and
Yes.
I like to tell people what's right or wrong. But I tell you what, you great people have taught me
Yeah.
so much in my life as well.
Oh, that's amazing. Likewise, I think if we see everyone in our life as our teacher, it could be anyone, whether it's the local imam, it could be our parents, could be our siblings, our friends, or even just the person who's passing by. But everyone's really a teacher. Everyone's got that aspect. You learn something from everyone. So whether it's what you should do, what you shouldn't do, or so on. But yeah, teacher,
All
I
right.
think you can learn from everyone over there. But I really appreciated this opportunity, and I think I really enjoyed it. It was just really entertaining.
All right.
And I
Thank
hope
you.
everyone
The
gets to
entertainment's not over yet, so
speak.
let's go forward to the most entertaining part. No, not sure about you guys, but definitely entertaining for me to sit on,
Let's
in the
on
driver's
the
seat.
other side.
That's right. All right, let's
Let's
listen to
see.
the riddle,
All right.
and I'll give you all the time in the world. The guy might say you've got 10 seconds. I'll give you more than that,
All right.
and I'll
Let's
mute
see if I
myself.
got this.
I'll mute myself, and I'll play that now. Give me one
Okay.
second,
Yep. I
because
love riddles. Not that I'm great at it, but I love riddles.
I've got actually two screens, so I
Ah,
have to
yes.
share a tab. All right, now it's
Okay.
gonna work. I'm gonna mute myself, and we'll start again.
Perfect. All right. Let's see.
A brainy baker.
I can hear it.
This story happened a long, long time ago, before we had modern conveniences like electricity and gadgets. A baker decided to make a cake for his daughter's birthday. According to the recipe, it should stay in the oven for exactly 15 minutes. But here's the catch. The baker's old clock broke, and he didn't have time to find a new one. His daughter would be home in just a half an hour, and he wanted to surprise her with her lovely homemade cake. The only thing he had was 2 hourglasses, one of which was for 7 minutes and the other was for 11 minutes. The baker was a very smart man and still managed to make one of the most delicious cakes ever. He even did it before his daughter got home. So, how did he pull that off?
He shared the timer. The 2 hour glasses. Wait, I think I missed the question. How did he actually pull off the baking? In 15
How
minutes.
did he pull it off? Yeah,
Yeah. So the timer, he used the 11 minutes timer,
yeah.
and then he used the 7-minute timer.
But then he's still
And
3 minutes over.
3 minutes short. So then
No, it's 3 minutes over.
3 minutes over. So he didn't use the full 7 minutes. He waited till the grains from the 7-minute time.
But how did he know that?
Yeah, how do you know from a timer over there?
That's right. Imagine the children today, they can't read the time on the
No.
clock. And imagine
He's going to use.
imagine working with the hourglass.
he had half an hour before his daughter got home, right?
That's right.
11 minutes from the actual from the hourglass.
Yeah.
So that cuts off time. He knows it takes 11 minutes off from the time that his daughter's going to come back,
That's
and then
right.
he calculates the remaining time.
All right.
Minutes.
Let's see if that's the right answer.
Let's
I actually
see.
don't know the answer myself. Let's
Oh,
play
let's
it.
have a look.
To bake the perfect cake, he turned both of the hourglasses upside down. When all the sand from the top part of the 7-minute glass had fallen through, it was time to put the cake in the oven. After 4 minutes, when the sand from the top part of the 11-minute glass had emptied out as well, the baker simply turned that glass upside down once again for another 11 minutes.
There you go.
4 minutes on the first turning and 11 minutes on the second make the 15 minutes he needed. See? Easy as pie. Oh, I mean, piece of cake.
Piece of cake. There you go. So, I'm calculating the time where the daughter gets back. And it's like using mental math over there, where it's a lot more simple.
That's right. Look, again, these were just there for fun, and I understand. Yeah, but we were not testing you on your teaching abilities.
No.
You still have your job.
I love riddles. Whether I'm good at it or not, I love riddles in any way, shape, or form. So I do this with my students as well. Sometimes I'll show them riddles where I don't fully know the answer, and I just watch them come up with the answer. We're like, oh, that works. That's it.
Look, I really
long
want
as
to
you
thank
get
you
there.
again for your
No,
time and,
thank you so
coming
much,
out on a
yeah.
Sunday morning
I
and giving your
appreciate
time out of the family time. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to pretty much talk about myself. I don't always get that opportunity, but it was really entertaining and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I appreciate it.
Now you need to actually motivate your great partner, because I've
Yeah.
actually been trying to chase her, but she hasn't come back to me. So you can motivate her.
I'll be motivating her. I'll just show her our interview over here and I'll be like, hey, Olivia, you can't miss out on this. It's fun. Thank you so much for
All
that.
right.
I appreciate
No, you
it.
look after yourself. Thank you
You
so
too.
much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
Yes. Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
There's this one over here. So this is my nephew. This is Omar. Say hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Say assalamualaikum. Okay.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Give me
Sorry.
1 second.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yes.
Okay.